What's up, everybody? I'm SpeedDemon8706, and today I finally have another video, and this is actually the final portion of my three-part series. Maybe it's four-part, I don't remember, I don't know. But anyways, this is the final video for that series regarding the Game Boy Color. So something about these, if you've ever played these in the past or own one or have owned one, you'll know that they're not lit in any way, shape, or form. No! Yeah. Yep, they weren't lit up, and it wasn't due to saving money or anything like that. It just wasn't something that was thought of at the time. So in order to play these, you had to have ambient light good enough to where it didn't just refract into your face, or dim enough to where you couldn't see. So if you haven't checked out my other videos regarding this, I highly encourage it. This Game Boy Color has come a long way, and the only thing I haven't done is install a front light kit. So I have a game, I have some batteries in here, and I'm going to show you what it looks like during normal operation. Not sure if you can see it or not, but there's no light, you know, it works just fine, and it still looks good, but not without light. Alright, so this is what a front light kit looks like. It's a piece of plastic that has a positive and a negative wire coming from it, and inside this foil tape are little LEDs, and there's two types of these front light kits that I've seen. So this front light kit is from a company called Kitsch. I'll put that link in the description below, and the other one is from Handheld Legend. Now this Kitsch front light kit I prefer because it's brighter. It allows you to have a brighter screen, and I like it. Some don't. They don't like as much bright light, and they feel as if it washes out the game, which, in my opinion, it boils down to opinion. And then Handheld Legend has one that has a resistor built in, and it makes it a dimmer light, a dimmer front light. But I'm going to show you how to do this and where the solder points are, and I'll also post a link for Handheld Legend down in the description below. So stick around and let's get this started. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to need a few things. We're going to need our Game Boy Color, our toolkit, our front light, some solder, our soldering iron, LOCA, canned air, and our cutting tool. And a UV light. If you don't have it, you can use the sun. So let's start by taking apart our Game Boy Color from the back. You'll need a tri-wing screwdriver. Unless you have an aftermarket case like I do, you'll need a Phillips head. So go ahead and remove the game and the batteries and set those off to the side. Now those 6 screws are located 2 in the top, 2 in the center, and 2 in the battery compartment. Alright, once you have the screws removed, go ahead and take the back and set it off to the side. Now we're going to remove the 3 Phillips screws located here to disconnect the motherboard from the front of the shell. Now go ahead and remove the power slider and set that off to the side. And now you want to disconnect the ribbon cable with these 2 tabs. All you need to do is either use a spudger or your fingernails to pull them up and pop them out of place, and carefully slide out the ribbon cable so you don't damage the ribbon cable. And now you can set the motherboard off to the side. Next, we want to remove the screen. So you can do this by twisting the front shell left and right like an ice tray to loosen the adhesive, and simply just pull out the screen. Just be careful not to touch screens so you don't get any fingerprints on them. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to peel off the back. This can be pretty easy, and it can be pretty hard depending on how strong the adhesive is. So just pick a corner and start pulling away. This one actually peeled off pretty easy for me, but if it doesn't come off, it's not a lost cause. You're just trying to create space. Just be careful when you peel it off so you don't damage any of the ribbon cable. Next, we want to take our front light and place it inside the front housing. And notice where the wires lie so you can make your cuts so the wires sit flush so we don't pinch them or keep the Game Boy from closing properly. Now that you know where your notches should be, go ahead and take your cutting tool and cut out the notches. And now take a look to make sure you made big enough notches for your wires to sit in, and this looks just fine. Now replace the front light kit back inside and make sure the wires sit just fine. And we're good to go. Alright, go ahead and remove the front light kit, and now we need to get ready to prepare the screen for the front light. So I like to use a box just because of that ribbon cable that sticks out from the top of the screen. It'll push it at an awkward angle. Take some canned air and blow off the screen to clear any debris. And when you set your screen down, you want to set it to where the cable hangs over the edge just like this. Now we need to peel off the adhesive from our front light kit, which has two sides. So just pick a corner and peel it off. But just be careful when you're peeling off the adhesive to not pull from the bottom corner because it might pull that foil tape off, and that's used to refract the light upwards. Once that's done, you need to identify which side you're going to use first. So there's two sides. Use the back of your fingernail to find the rough side. There's our rough side. The other side is a smooth side. That's the side that we want to adhere to the screen. So go ahead and get some canned air and clean that side off. I like to clean both sides. When that's done, set it off to the side with the smooth side face up. Take your LOCA and apply it in an X-shaped manner. This will help the LOCA to spread evenly once you apply the Gameboy Color screen. Try to avoid any bubbles, but if you get some, it's okay. It's probably going to happen anyway, and we can deal with that in a little bit. Once that's done, take your Gameboy Color screen, flip it over upside down, and try to lay it on there as evenly as possible. Once it's on there, apply a little bit of pressure to help the LOCA start to spread, and give it a couple seconds. After a little bit of time, take it and flip it back over so you can see what you're working with. So the LOCA spread to a good amount, and with the X shape that we laid, it's actually going to all four corners. You can let it set, or you can apply slight pressure to help assist the process. And take the time to identify any bubbles like previously explained. If you do find bubbles, it's okay. It's not a big deal. The only thing you need to do is just apply slight pressure and rub in circles towards one of the sides that the bubble's closest to. This helps to work the bubbles out towards the edges, and it's okay if you get LOCA on the outside of the screen edges. Just take a Q-tip or a paper towel and just wipe up the mess. Once that's done, set it down. Now we need to move on to the lighting portion. I have a UV light for this video, but if you don't, it's okay to stick it out in the sun. The sun helps cure it because LOCA cures with UV light. So here's my UV light tray, and I like to take a Game Boy cartridge case to set my screen on because of that ribbon cable, and I'll just set it in there in probably about 15 minutes tops. Now let's talk about the LOCA. I have two types of LOCA. On the right side is called Osaka 7. It's a higher quality LOCA, and on the left side is another type of LOCA that I found that's supposedly the same grade. There's really no distinction between the two. They both work just as well, and you can get Osaka 7 from Handheld Legend and the one on the left from eBay. And now let's check and see how our screen is. When you pull it out, you want to make sure that it's firm, it doesn't shift or move, and that there's no any LOCA on the sides that's runny or goopy. It needs to be completely finished, and which it is. So now let's go ahead and prepare the screen for the front shell. Set it in there, and it fits just fine. Now we want to reattach the ribbon cable to the motherboard up at the top. Make sure those two tabs on the left and right are all the way up. Set the motherboard down, fish the cable inside, and close the tabs down. Now make sure your wires are routed out to each side so it can route them towards a Game Boy where they need to be soldered to without causing any extra space. Return 3 Phillips head screws and start routing them through this little hole on each side of the cartridge bay. This keeps them from floating freely. Do the same thing on the other side. And these are our solder points. The top is for the red, the bottom is for the black. This is what powers our front light. So route it however you see fit. I just like to stick this somewhere around the battery terminals and some of the capacitors on there just to keep it flat and take up the length of the wire. Now we're going to add some fresh solder to help that black wire stay soldered to its contact point. And you don't have to apply solder, but it's something that I highly recommend. And I'll do the same thing for the top portion. And I'll solder the positive wire to that terminal. Check your work, looks just fine. Go ahead and replace your power slider. And go ahead and replace the back case on. Return the screws. Check for any seams or any spaces. Make sure all the buttons press just fine. Look it over. Looks good. Go ahead and return the batteries and put it in a game. Then now to test it out. What do you know, it works. And notice there's going to be a few bubbles, but also at the same time there's some bubbles due to this screen still being new, and it has that protective film on the screen itself. So some are from that protective film and some are from the LOCA. But overall, it looks great. And this is what it looks like in the dark. As you can see, some of the light comes out through the top and through the bottom. I like the look. I think it's pretty cool. And it's not bright enough that it detracts from the screen itself. And that's about it for today's video. So now we have a Game Boy Color that actually turns on and has a front light. I've actually got this one and I have another one. I'm probably going to be getting rid of this one. If anybody's interested, hop on over to my Facebook and hit me up, send me a message or a comment or something. Let me know. And if you haven't checked them out, check out my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram. I'm SpeedDemon8706. Have a great day.